God said, "Chosen one, prepare for 27 August." There are moments in history when heaven interrupts the course of man, when time itself bends to a divine appointment, when the voice of eternity thunders into the realm of the temporary. We stand now at the threshold of such a moment. The calendar of men may see it as an ordinary day, but the calendar of heaven has marked it, sealed it, decreed it, August 27, and the word resounds, "Chosen one, prepare." For what is coming is not chance, it is not coincidence, it is not accident, it is appointment. The shaking has been for this hour, the waiting has been for this hour, the silence has been for this hour. And now the call is clear, rise, for the time has come. The mantle you were forged to carry will rest upon you. The authority you were refined to wield will be entrusted to you. And the destiny written before the foundations of the earth will begin to unfold. August 27 is not the end. It is the beginning of a new dawn. The divine appointment of time is not merely the ticking of the clock, nor the passing of days as mankind counts them. Time is sacred when it intersects with eternity. Heaven does not measure days as man does, but in appointed seasons, in prophetic hours, in divine intersections where the unseen breaks into the seen. Every moment on the calendar may look the same in human eyes, but there are certain days that are marked, days that carry the fingerprints of destiny, days when the heavens whisper, "This is the hour I have chosen." And August 27 is not just a date, not just a turning of the page, but an appointed threshold written before the foundation of the world. From the very beginning, God wove time into creation with purpose. He made the sun, moon, and stars not merely for light, but for signs and seasons, for appointed times. These are not accidents, they are divine orchestration. The chosen must recognize that what is coming is not random, nor is it coincidence. It is a divine summon. August 27 stands as a prophetic line in the sand. It is a day when heaven will measure the hearts of men, when those who are chosen must step forward, not with fear, but with preparation. Throughout history, there have been days when kingdoms fell, when empires rose, when judgments were sealed, and when promises were fulfilled. Noah did not step into the ark on just any day. It was the day heaven ordained. Israel did not cross the Red Sea at a time of their choosing. It was the exact moment appointed by God. Even the coming of the Messiah to Jerusalem was foretold down to the very day, fulfilling the prophecy of Daniel. Time itself bends to the will of the Eternal One. So when heaven points to a specific day, it is not to be ignored. It is a signal, a trumpet call, a revelation. The chosen must therefore understand. To disregard the appointed time is to miss the visitation of heaven. The people of old who missed their hour wept in regret because they did not discern the time of their visitation. The chosen are not called to slumber through history, but to awaken, to discern, to recognize that the Lord of time is speaking through the unfolding of days. August 27 is not given as curiosity, it is given as a charge. It is the day of preparation, a line between past struggles and future glory, a moment of alignment. Every divine appointment comes with responsibility. Noah built the ark before the rain fell. Moses lifted his staff before the waters parted. Esther prepared her heart before she approached the king. Preparation is the key to entering into divine moments. Without preparation, the day will come and pass like any other. But to those who are awake, to those who are chosen, the day becomes a doorway. August 27 is such a doorway. The chosen must not approach it with passivity, but with reverence, fasting, prayer, and readiness. The enemy too knows the power of appointed times. He seeks to distract, to divert, to blind the eyes of those called. He whispers, "It's just another day. Nothing will change." But those who walk by the Spirit know better. They sense the trembling in the atmosphere. They feel the urgency pressing upon their spirit. They hear the whisper, "Prepare." For when God appoints a day, it shakes both heaven and earth. Why August 27? The question is not why, but what. What is heaven calling the chosen to prepare for? It is not given for speculation, but for sanctification. It is not a day for fear, but for faith. It is not for panic, but for positioning. The chosen must cleanse their hearts, sharpen their ears, and fix their eyes upon the eternal. For in that day a shift will come, whether visible or invisible, whether in the spirit or in the natural. It will mark the chosen. It will separate those who hear from those who ignore, those who prepare from those who slumber. In the mysteries of the Hebrew calendar, in the cycles of Jubilee, in the appointed feasts, God has always revealed himself in time. The feasts of Passover, Pentecost, and Tabernacles were not just cultural traditions, but rehearsals of divine appointments. Passover was the shadow of the Lamb to come. Pentecost was the shadow of the Spirit to be poured out. So too, the days marked in our time are not empty. They are prophetic rehearsals, reminders that God governs history. August 27 belongs to this same pattern. It is a day that heaven has sealed for purpose, though the fullness may not yet be revealed. Those who are chosen are called to rise and to recognize that God speaks through signs, seasons, and times. The heavens declare the glory of God, and even the numbering of days carries his handwriting. The chosen cannot treat this day as the world does, for to them it is sacred. They must not approach it with worldly eyes, but with prophetic vision. They must ask not, "What will happen on that day?" but "How shall I be prepared for that day?" For readiness is the mark of the chosen. There is a sobering reality here. Divine appointments can be missed. Jerusalem missed the day of visitation and paid the price of destruction. The 5 foolish virgins failed to prepare oil and missed the bridegroom's arrival. But the wise prepared, and when the moment came, they entered into the wedding feast. So too, August 27 will separate the wise from the foolish, the prepared from the unprepared, the chosen from the crowd. To the chosen, this is a call not only to personal readiness, but to intercession. The day is not about one person alone, but about the ripple effect of the chosen standing in their place. Abraham interceded for Sodom. Daniel prayed for his people. Nehemiah wept for Jerusalem. The chosen must take up the mantle of intercession leading into this appointed day. Their prayers will move unseen mountains. Their obedience will unlock hidden doors. Their faith will release heavenly decrees. Understand this: every divine appointment is a convergence of heaven's will and human obedience. Without obedience, the moment is lost, but with obedience, history shifts. August 27 is not about curiosity or predictions, but about obedience. It is the day heaven has marked for the chosen to consecrate themselves, to align their lives, to prepare for the unveiling of a new season. The weight of this time is heavy because it is holy. The chosen must approach it as Moses approached the burning bush, removing their sandals, recognizing they are standing on holy ground. They must approach it as Joshua approached Jericho, ready to obey instructions that may seem strange but will bring walls down. They must approach it as Elijah approached Mount Carmel, standing boldly, knowing the fire will fall when the altar is in order. August 27 is not just a date, it is a declaration. It is heaven's way of saying, "Chosen one, I am setting before you an open door. Prepare yourself, for what is to come requires readiness." Some will ignore it, some will mock it, but the chosen will hear, and they will not take it lightly. They will prepare in prayer, in fasting, in repentance, in worship, and in obedience. And when the day comes, they will not merely observe it. They will step into it. For the divine appointment of time is not about what happens to the world. It is about what happens in the chosen. It is about transformation, empowerment, and realignment. August 27 will mark a turning point, and those who have prepared will walk in a new authority, a deeper intimacy, and a clearer vision of their calling. It will be the day heaven whispers, "Well done for preparing, now step into the new." And so the word resounds, "Chosen one, do not waste this day, do not let it pass as ordinary, it is extraordinary." It is eternal. It is your appointment with destiny. Prepare yourself for August 27, for heaven has written it in the scroll of time, and those who are ready shall see the unveiling of glory. The call of the chosen one, is not a title to be worn as a crown, but a mantle to be carried with trembling hands. It is not a reward for ambition, nor a medal given to the strong. It is a calling that burns through the soul, a fire that cannot be quenched, a weight that both humbles and exalts. To be chosen is to be set apart, not by man, but by heaven. And when heaven calls, it is not a suggestion, it is not an option, it is a summons. The chosen one is summoned to rise, to prepare, to walk a path few will understand, and to stand when others fall. August 27 is not just a date for the chosen one. It is the sound of the trumpet, the ringing of destiny, the command from eternity, "Rise, for your hour has come." The chosen one often feels the burden before the call is spoken. They feel it in their loneliness, in the betrayals, in the battles fought in silence. The chosen do not blend in because heaven has already marked them for separation. Look through history and you will see this pattern. Joseph was chosen, and before he wore a robe of authority, he wore the chains of a slave. Moses was chosen, and before he stood before Pharaoh, he stood in the desert alone. David was chosen, and before he carried the crown, he carried rejection and exile. To be chosen is to walk a road carved by fire and tears. It is to hear heaven's whisper in the midnight hour, "You are mine, I have marked you, I have set you apart." The call of the chosen is not about comfort, but about purpose. It is not about escaping battles, but about entering them with divine authority. The chosen are summoned not because they are the strongest, but because they are willing. Willing to obey, willing to lay down their will, willing to trust when nothing makes sense. The chosen one becomes heaven's vessel, not perfect, not flawless, but surrendered, and in their surrender, heaven breathes. That is why the chosen are feared by the enemy, not because of their own strength, but because of the one who sends them. But make no mistake, the call of the chosen is costly. It costs relationships, comfort, reputation, and sometimes even life itself. The chosen one will often walk alone because the masses cannot carry what only the chosen can bear. The chosen are misunderstood, mocked, accused, even hated. Yet in the shadows of rejection, they carry heaven's approval. When men strip them of honor, heaven clothes them with glory. When men cast them aside, heaven draws them nearer. The chosen one lives for an audience of one, and in that audience is all the validation they will ever need. The call is not glamorous, it is sacred. It is not about being seen, but about seeing. Seeing what others are blind to, hearing what others ignore, discerning what others miss. The chosen are called to stand in the gap, to intercede, to proclaim, to confront, to comfort, to lead. Their voice carries weight not because of eloquence, but because of anointing. When the chosen speaks, heaven echoes. When the chosen prays, mountains move. When the chosen obeys, destinies shift. That is the authority of the call. And yet the chosen do not choose themselves. They are chosen despite themselves. Many run from it. Jonah fled from Nineveh. Moses argued at the burning bush. Jeremiah wept at the weight of his call. The chosen often feel inadequate, unworthy, incapable. But heaven does not call the qualified. It qualifies the called. It takes the weak and makes them strong. It takes the broken and makes them whole. It takes the ordinary and makes them extraordinary. The chosen one becomes a living testimony that heaven's power is made perfect in human weakness. But why now? Why August 27? because the call is not timeless. It is bound to appointed moments. The chosen cannot rise in their own timing. They must rise in the timing of heaven, and heaven has set this day as a threshold. On August 27, the chosen must not hesitate. This is not the time for delay, not the time for doubt, not the time for retreat. It is the time for obedience. The trumpet is sounding, the call is echoing, the chosen one must rise. Preparation is everything. The call cannot be answered in apathy. It requires consecration. The chosen must cleanse their heart, sharpen their faith, and strengthen their spirit. They must strip away distractions, silence the noise of the world, and fix their gaze on the one who calls. They must live as vessels emptied of pride, emptied of fear, emptied of compromise, so they can be filled with fire, with truth, with courage. The chosen one is not prepared by outward training alone, but by inner transformation, and the refining fire of trials has already been shaping them for this moment. To be chosen is also to carry responsibility for others. The call is not about personal gain. It is about being a light for nations, an intercessor for the broken, a voice for the voiceless. The chosen are called not to dominate, but to serve, not to exalt themselves, but to lift others, not to build their own kingdoms, but to advance the kingdom of God. On August 27, the chosen must remember that their calling is bigger than themselves. It is not about their name, it is about His name, not about their will, it is about His will. And so the chosen one must rise with boldness. The time of hiding is ending, the time of silence is over. The wilderness has prepared them, but now the commission awaits them. August 27 is not the finish line, it is the starting line of a new assignment. The chosen will step into authority they did not know they carried. They will speak words that cut through darkness. They will walk paths that others cannot tread. They will carry a mantle that weighs heavy, but they will not carry it alone. Heaven will be their strength, their shield, their guide. Do not mistake the call as optional. It is binding. The chosen cannot shrug it off without consequence. To reject the call is to reject the very purpose for which they were born. But to embrace it is to step into destiny, to walk in power, to see miracles, to shift atmospheres, to change history. The chosen one must decide, will they rise or will they slumber? The call demands an answer. And when the call is answered, all of creation will bear witness. Just as creation groans for the revealing of the sons and daughters of God, so does the world groan for the rising of the chosen. The call is not small, it is cosmic. It is not temporary, it is eternal. It is not local, it is global. The chosen one's obedience will ripple beyond borders, beyond generations, beyond their lifetime. This is why August 27 carries weight. It is the call of the chosen resounding through time, echoing from eternity, crashing into the present. Heaven has already decreed it. Chosen one, rise, prepare, obey. The question is not if the call is real. The question is if the chosen will answer. And to those who answer, they will find themselves not abandoned but empowered, not empty but filled, not weak but strong. They will carry heaven's authority, heaven's mantle, heaven's fire. So hear it, chosen one, you were not made to blend in. You were not born to be hidden. You were not called to be silent. You were set apart, marked, and summoned. The call is upon you, and the day is before you. August 27 is the trumpet blast of destiny. The heavens have spoken. Chosen one, prepare, for your time has come. The shaking before the rising comes the shaking. Before the dawn breaks, the night trembles. Before resurrection, there is a cross. This is the pattern written into creation itself, that shaking always precedes glory, that disruption always precedes alignment, that fire always precedes refinement. And so it is with the chosen one. August 27 is not merely about rising. It is about enduring the shaking that must come before the rising. For heaven cannot lift what has not first been shaken. Heaven cannot build on a foundation that has not first been tested. The chosen must understand that the shaking is not the end, it is the beginning. The shaking is the undoing of everything false. It is the tearing away of illusions, the stripping of what is not rooted in truth, the collapse of every idol erected in the heart. When heaven shakes, it is not to destroy the chosen, but to purify them. The world fears the shaking because it exposes fragility, but the chosen embrace it because it reveals eternity. The shaking is mercy disguised as chaos. It uproots the counterfeit so that only what is eternal remains. Scripture declares that once more God will shake not only the earth, but also the heavens, so that what cannot be shaken will remain. This is the season of that shaking. Systems will tremble, powers will crumble, institutions will falter, and even the ground beneath the chosen will feel unstable. But this is not destruction for the chosen, it is preparation. The shaking comes to strip away false security, to reveal what is eternal, to separate the shadow from the substance. Think of Joseph. Before he rose to the palace, he was shaken by betrayal, slavery, and prison. Think of David. Before he was crowned, he was shaken by rejection, exile, and pursuit. Think of Daniel. Before he stood in authority, he was shaken by captivity, persecution, and the lion's den. The pattern is clear. Before the rising comes the shaking. And yet, through the shaking, the chosen are forged. Their faith is tested, their endurance refined, their trust solidified. The shaking is also the revealing. It reveals who is truly chosen and who only walks in pretense. When storms come, the shallow roots are exposed. When the winds blow, the weak structures fall. But the chosen, though shaken, will not be destroyed. Their roots go deep, their foundation is firm, their faith is anchored. Yes, they will tremble, yes, they will be tested, but they will not collapse. The shaking does not break the chosen. It reveals them, it proves them, it authenticates them. On August 27, the chosen must not fear the shaking. They must expect it, they must embrace it, they must understand that it is the sign that rising is near. Just as labor pains precede birth, so does shaking precede rising. It is not punishment, it is preparation. It is not death, it is transition. And those who endure the shaking will step into the rising with authority no storm can take away. The shaking comes in many forms. It can come through loss, betrayal, financial struggle, health battles, or spiritual warfare. It can come through sudden changes, unexpected disruptions, or deep disappointments. But in every shaking there is a hidden purpose. The chosen one is not called to ask why, but to ask what is heaven removing? What is heaven refining? What is heaven preparing? For the shaking never comes without reason. It comes to align, to strengthen, to prepare the chosen for what they could not carry otherwise. The shaking also exposes enemies. In seasons of calm, false friends can hide, but in seasons of shaking, betrayal is revealed. The shaking draws out those who are for you and those who are against you. It uncovers hidden plots, silent adversaries, and disguised opposition. But do not fear it. The exposure is necessary, for the chosen cannot rise surrounded by deception. The shaking removes what cannot go with you into the next season. Do not despise the shaking. It may feel like loss, but it is gain. It may feel like breaking, but it is building. It may feel like the end, but it is the beginning. The shaking is the hand of heaven removing what hinders, so the chosen can run unhindered. It is the fire of refinement burning away the dross, so that only pure gold remains. It is the storm that clears the path for a new horizon, and consider this: the world itself is entering a shaking. Nations tremble, economies falter, wars threaten, and societies unravel. Yet in the midst of this global shaking, the chosen are called to stand firm. While the world panics, the chosen proclaim, While the world crumbles, the chosen carry stability. While the world falls into fear, the chosen walk in faith. They become pillars in the storm, lights in the darkness, voices of hope when silence fills the earth. The shaking is also the invitation to deeper intimacy with the eternal. When everything around the chosen shakes, they discover the one who never moves. They learn to anchor their souls not in possessions, not in status, not in human approval, but in the eternal who cannot be shaken. The shaking strips away idols and false comforts, forcing the chosen into deeper reliance on the one who called them. And it is in this intimacy that the chosen are strengthened, prepared, and readied for the rising. The shaking may feel violent, but it is guided by a gentle hand. Just as a gardener shakes a tree so that rotten fruit may fall, so heaven shakes the chosen to remove what is spoiling the vine. Just as wheat is shaken to separate the chaff from the grain, so the chosen are shaken to separate the false from the true. And when the shaking is complete, what remains is stronger, purer, and ready to rise. On August 27, the chosen must stand unshaken by the shaking. They must remember that though the earth trembles, their foundation is unmovable. Though their surroundings shift, their destiny is secure. Though storms rage, their anchor holds. They must look not at the shaking, but at the purpose behind it. For beyond the shaking lies the rising. Beyond the night lies the dawn. Beyond the cross lies the resurrection. And this is the paradox of the chosen. The very shaking that threatens to undo them becomes the shaking that prepares them to rise. The prison became Joseph's doorway to the palace. The desert became Moses' training ground for deliverance. The exile became Daniel's platform for influence, and the cross became the doorway to eternal life. So it shall be for the chosen on August 27. The shaking will not end them. It will position them. It will catapult them into authority, destiny, and purpose. Therefore, let the chosen not resist the shaking, but surrender to it. Let them not cling to what heaven is removing, but release it. Let them not fear what is falling apart, but trust that it is making room for what is to come. For the shaking is not a sign of abandonment, but of preparation. It is not proof that heaven has forsaken them, but proof that heaven is with them, refining them for glory. And so the word is clear: before you rise, you will be shaken. But in the shaking, do not fear, for what is shaken will fall, but what is eternal will remain. And when the shaking is done, you will rise in power, in purpose, in destiny. The chosen one must hold fast. August 27 is not the end of the shaking. It is the sign that the rising is near. Do not despise the storm, for it is carrying you to the shore. Do not curse the fire, for it is purifying your gold. Do not dread the shaking, for it is clearing the path to your rising. The shaking is the womb of destiny, and when the chosen endure it, they will step forth, not broken, not defeated, but unshakable. The seal of obedience to be chosen is not merely to be called, it is to be sealed. And that seal is not given through words or visions or emotions. It is given through obedience. The call is the invitation, but obedience is the response. Many are called, but few are chosen, because the separation is not in hearing the voice. It is in obeying the voice. The chosen one is not sealed by passion alone, nor by knowledge, nor by zeal, but by a life that bends to the will of heaven. The true seal of the chosen is not on the lips, but on the actions. It is not proven in declarations, but in obedience. Throughout history, heaven has tested the chosen by one question: will you obey? Abraham was called, but it was obedience that sealed him. When commanded to leave his land and go to a place he did not know, he obeyed. When told to sacrifice his promised son, he obeyed. His faith was not proven by his feelings, but by his obedience. Moses was called, but it was obedience that sealed him. He returned to Egypt not because it was comfortable, but because it was commanded. Joshua obeyed when told to march around Jericho in silence. Gideon obeyed when told to face an army with only 300 men. The chosen are always tested by obedience, for obedience is the mark of surrender. Obedience is not easy, for it requires the death of self. It demands the silencing of pride, the crucifixion of fear, the laying down of personal will. Obedience will often make no sense in the natural. It may seem foolish, even reckless, but in heaven's eyes it is wisdom. Noah looked foolish building an ark when no rain had ever fallen, yet his obedience sealed him and his household. The widow of Zarephath looked foolish giving her last meal to Elijah, yet her obedience sealed her provision. Peter looked foolish stepping out of the boat onto the storm, yet his obedience brought him closer to the Master than the others. The seal of obedience is costly. It costs pride, it costs reputation, it costs comfort, but it also carries reward. For the chosen who obey, doors open that no man can shut. Authority is granted that no enemy can resist. Power flows that no circumstance can hinder. The obedience of one person can shift the destiny of nations. Abraham's obedience birthed a covenant people. Esther's obedience saved her people from annihilation. Mary's obedience ushered in the birth of the Messiah. Always, obedience seals the chosen for their assignment. And now, August 27 comes as a test of obedience. It is not just a date. It is a dividing line. It will mark those who hear but ignore and those who hear and obey. The chosen one cannot approach this day with half-hearted faith. The seal of obedience must be upon them. Heaven is not asking for empty declarations or shallow promises. Heaven is asking for action, for steps of faith, for sacrifices of trust, for choices that prove loyalty. The chosen must rise not just in word, but in deed. Obedience is not about convenience. It is about trust. Sometimes the command will contradict logic. Sometimes it will require stepping into the unknown. Sometimes it will demand surrendering what is most precious. But this is the measure of the chosen, not that they understand, but that they obey, for obedience is the truest form of faith. Faith is not belief alone, it is belief in motion, belief expressed in obedience. Without obedience, faith is dead. Consider Saul, who lost the kingdom not because he failed to fight, but because he failed to obey. He spared what was meant to be destroyed, and in his partial obedience he revealed rebellion. But David, though imperfect, was sealed by obedience. He stumbled, but he returned to the path. He sinned, but he repented. His heart beat with the rhythm of obedience, and heaven sealed him with a throne that would never end. The difference between Saul and David was not in calling, but in obedience. This is the same test that comes to the chosen now. The call has gone out, the trumpet has sounded, the date has been appointed, but the seal will only be given to those who obey. Some will hear but mock, some will hear but delay, some will hear but turn away, but the chosen will hear and obey, and in that obedience they will be sealed for the rising. The seal of obedience is not something visible to men. It is invisible yet undeniable. It is recognized in the spirit realm. When the chosen walk in obedience, heaven testifies and hell trembles. The seal is what separates them in the battle, what shields them in the storm, what marks them as vessels of divine authority. Without obedience, the call is empty. With obedience, the chosen carry fire. Do not think obedience is for the weak. It is for the strong. It takes strength to yield, courage to surrender, and faith to trust. The world sees submission as weakness, but heaven sees it as strength. The mightiest act a human can perform is to bow before the will of the Eternal and say, "Not my will, but yours be done." That is the seal of obedience. It is not glamorous, but it is glorious. It is not loud, but it is eternal. And here lies the mystery. Obedience often unlocks what prayer alone cannot. Obedience opens doors that words cannot. It breaks chains that declarations cannot. It brings answers that fasting cannot, because obedience is the highest form of worship. When the chosen obey, they align with the very heartbeat of heaven, and heaven moves on their behalf. The seal of obedience is the key that opens the gates of destiny. August 27 is therefore not just a prophetic appointment, it is a test of obedience. The chosen must decide now, will they step forward or step back? Will they cling to comfort or walk in faith? Will they hesitate or obey? For in that day heaven will weigh obedience more than words. The chosen will not be measured by how much they claimed to believe, but by how much they obeyed. And this obedience is not just for a day, but for a lifestyle. The chosen must live as those sealed by obedience, day by day, moment by moment. Every decision matters, every action counts, every step is part of the testimony. The seal of obedience must be visible not only on August 27, but on every day that follows. For to be chosen is not to obey once, it is to live a life of continual surrender. This is why the chosen are rare. Many hear, but few obey. Many speak, but few act. Many claim, but few surrender. But those who do, their names echo in eternity. Their obedience becomes the foundation for generations. Their surrender becomes the catalyst for revival. Their seal becomes the mark of divine authority on earth. So hear the word, chosen one, the call has gone forth, the time is appointed, and the seal awaits. Do not shrink back, do not delay, do not compromise, obey fully, obey quickly, obey completely. For the seal of obedience will rest upon those who surrender, and through them, heaven will release its power. August 27 will not just mark the chosen, it will seal them. And once sealed, they will rise with a mantle that no man, no enemy, no storm can strip away. For the seal of obedience is the proof of the chosen. It is the dividing line between the called and the faithful, between the hearers and the doers, between the many and the few. It is the eternal testimony written not in ink, but in action. And when the chosen walk in obedience, heaven declares, "This one is mine." The dawn of new authority, every shaking, every testing, every trial, every season of hiddenness is not without purpose. It all leads to this, the dawn of new authority. The chosen one is not called merely to survive storms, but to rise above them. They are not called to endure forever in silence, but to be released in power. Authority is not given at the beginning, it is entrusted at the end of refining. And August 27 stands as a threshold, a morning after the long night, a doorway into a new dimension of authority. It is the breaking of dawn when the chosen one emerges not in their own strength, but in the mantle of heaven. Authority in the kingdom is not like authority in the world. The world crowns by position, by wealth, by popularity. But heaven crowns by obedience, by faithfulness, by surrender. The chosen one does not demand authority. They receive it. They do not grasp for it. They are entrusted with it. Authority is the reward of endurance. Authority is the mantle given to those who stood when others fell, who obeyed when others rebelled, who endured when others quit. The chosen are entrusted with authority because they have been tested and proven in the fire. This new authority is not ordinary. It is weighty. It is the authority to speak and see things shift, to declare and watch the heavens respond, to pray and watch chains break. It is the authority that Elijah carried when he called down fire from heaven. It is the authority that Moses carried when the sea parted. It is the authority that Joshua carried when the sun stood still. It is the authority that Peter carried when the lame walked, and that Paul carried when demons fled. This is not human ability, it is divine authority entrusted to human vessels. But before the dawn, there is always the night. The chosen one has walked through that night. They have endured betrayal, endured loss, endured silence. They have been misunderstood, abandoned, pressed down. They have questioned, wept, struggled. Yet through it all they remained. They did not quit when others quit. They did not let go when others walked away. And it is for this reason the dawn now breaks. Authority is not given cheaply. It is entrusted to those who have been proven trustworthy. The dawn of new authority comes as a shift. Suddenly, what once resisted will yield. What once seemed immovable will move. What once silenced the chosen will be silenced by them. The voice of the chosen will carry a new weight, a new fire, a new resonance. It will not be the same voice of yesterday. It will be charged with heaven. When they speak, it will cut through darkness. When they pray, it will pierce the heavens. When they act, it will shake the earth. This is the dawn of new authority. But this authority is not for self. It is for service. The chosen are not given authority to build their own name, but to exalt his name. They are not empowered for their own gain, but for the deliverance of others. Authority is given for purpose. Joseph was given authority not for his own comfort, but to preserve a nation in famine. Esther was given authority not for her own glory, but to save her people from annihilation. Authority is always entrusted with responsibility. To misuse it is to lose it, but to wield it in humility is to multiply it. August 27 marks the release of such authority. It will be the moment heaven shifts the chosen from wilderness to assignment, from silence to declaration, from waiting to walking. It will not be the fullness of the journey, but the crossing of a threshold. The dawn is not the midday sun, but it is the sign that night is over. And in that dawn, authority will begin to shine. The chosen will feel a weight in their spirit, a boldness in their heart, a clarity in their voice. They will step into battles they once feared. They will speak words they once hesitated to say. They will carry a mantle they once thought too heavy, but now they will carry it with strength. This dawn of authority will also bring confrontation. For authority is not given in a vacuum. When the chosen rise, opposition will rise with them. Pharaoh will resist, Jezebel will rage, Goliath will taunt. But this is the purpose of authority, that the chosen might overcome. Authority is proven in battle. The chosen will not avoid the giants, they will slay them. They will not run from the opposition, they will confront it. And the victories won will testify that this authority is not human, but divine. The dawn of new authority also means the chosen will no longer hide. The days of silence, of invisibility, of obscurity are coming to an end. Authority demands visibility. The light cannot be hidden under a basket. It must shine. The voice cannot remain in the wilderness. It must cry out. The chosen one will be positioned where their authority can be exercised, where their mantle can impact others, where their obedience can bear fruit. And though the world may resist, heaven will insist. The chosen cannot be hidden when the dawn breaks. This authority is also generational. The chosen one is not given authority merely for themselves, but for those who will come after. Their obedience will break curses, open doors, and shift trajectories for their families, their communities, their nations. The dawn of their authority is the beginning of legacies. Their rising will plant seeds that will bear fruit long after they are gone. This is why the battle was so fierce, why the night was so long, because the authority they are about to carry will affect generations. The dawn of new authority also comes with responsibility to walk in humility. Authority without humility leads to destruction. Saul was given authority but lost it in pride. Nebuchadnezzar was given authority but abused it until heaven humbled him. Authority is safe only in the hands of the humble. And so the chosen must walk carefully. They must remember the wilderness that prepared them, the nights that refined them, the tears that shaped them. They must never forget that the authority they carry is not theirs, it is His. They are vessels, not owners, stewards, not masters, and yet, with all humility, they must also walk boldly. False humility will silence authority, but true humility empowers it. The chosen must not shrink back, must not hesitate, must not bury what has been entrusted. The dawn demands courage. Authority is given not to be hidden but to be exercised. The chosen must declare, must lead, must step forward. Their time is now, their season has come, the dawn is here. So hear this: August 27 is not just another day. It is the day of rising authority. It is the dawn breaking after the long night. It is the signal that the chosen one has been prepared, tested, sealed, and now entrusted. From this day, they will walk differently, speak differently, carry themselves differently. Not because of themselves, but because of the mantle upon them. The dawn has broken and authority has been released. This is the mystery of the chosen, that the same one who was mocked will now speak and be heard, that the same one who was rejected will now be exalted, that the same one who was forgotten will now be remembered. The dawn of authority turns weakness into strength, rejection into favor, silence into proclamation. The chosen one steps forth, no longer bound by the night, but clothed in the light of new authority. So rise, chosen one, the dawn is upon you, the night is over, the shaking is complete, the seal has been placed. Now step into the authority entrusted to you. Speak, and heaven will echo. Pray, and chains will break. Move, and mountains will shift, for this is your hour, this is your dawn, this is your mantle. August 27 will mock you forever as one who has risen in new authority.